I think that it helps to put everything into perspective. If it doesn't work, of course, there is divorce, and that is accepted in Judaism. When the marriage occurs, it occurs under a chuppah, C-H-U-P-P-A-H, or any other way you want to spell it. There are 4 poles, and then there is a canopy over the top. One of the traditions is that when a Jewish boy is born, 2 cypress trees are planted. When a Jewish girl is born, 2 acacia trees are planted. And when they get married, the 2 and 2 are cut, and the 4 poles together hold up the chuppah, symbolizing the fact that each comes from their own traditions, even though they may both be Jewish. And they bring them together and unite them into a new home, where each doesn't fight over the traditions, but finds a way to meld them together. And the canopy is the roof, so to speak, over the house. In a traditional Jewish wedding, the groom's mother and dad bring him down the aisle. The bride's mother and dad bring her down the aisle. And it's different from other religious weddings. I like it because it's mom and dad who brought their kids into the world. And they actually stand on either outside, right outside the perimeter of the chuppah, so that they can see, and they're not in the chuppah, but they're right outside of it. And I think that that's kind of a beautiful thing, and I recommend to couples that they include that. What else did I want to tell you about marriage? Anybody can think of anything else? There was one other thing. The chuppah.
One word that hasn't been mentioned is love. We all.
Yeah. Judaism doesn't talk about love. It talks about kedushin. It talks about setting him or her apart as someone special to you. Which could be love. You know, you may do that out of love. I think unfortunately in life, love has become such a catch-all that in a lot of ways it's sort of meaningless. Number 2, love on your wedding day, love 5 years into your marriage, and love 50 years into your marriage, goes through a lot of different transformations, which is a beautiful thing. But it never stays exactly the same. But respect, which is what kedushin talks about, respect and dignity, those can't change. And when I teach my 9th graders how to choose someone who they want to marry, which I do as a 6 weeks course, because nobody else teaches how to pick a marriage partner. I show them you can do it more scientifically than you think. In the end, it's certainly feelings and love and other things, but if the person that you're with doesn't show you respect at all times, protect your dignity, and have some admiration for you, they're not the right person for you. And those stay throughout a marriage that is a healthy marriage. That doesn't mean that they don't have disagreements, but they can disagree in a respectful way.
Well, is this done in the bar mitzvah in preparation for the bar mitzvah? This class about choosing?
No, it's just it's just part of the religious school. But you did remind me of something. Bride and groom in traditional Judaism go to the mikveh before they get married. And the idea is you wash away all that you have been because you want to be cleansed and clean in order to start anew for a new life with your husband or your wife. Guys, hit the glass with your heel, not the front of your shoe. I've taken too many to the emergency room. Also, there are laws. You cannot get drunk on your wedding day. You You've got to know what you're doing, and you have to be able to perform. So I didn't read all of those laws, but they are very clear in there. The way Judaism regulates your life in a compassionate way is, to me, beautiful because it makes perfect psychological sense as well.
Where do most of the, where are most of the weddings held? And if they're held in the synagogue, like I noticed you can't take pictures or video, is that like even a wedding, you can't like take pictures?
Let me go to the positive. You can video and take pictures during weddings. Not during, and you can video during bar mitzvahs outside.
What if, outside the.
Right, but if you want to video or take pictures inside the sanctuary for the wedding, you can do that.
But that's the only ceremony in the Jewish faith that you can video or take
Yeah,
pictures?
those are just my rules.
Oh.
Which is real Jewish law.
Right. I'll tell you very quickly, in Jackson, Mississippi, there was a guy trying to kill me. And I had some problems. And he even called me. I had him arrested at one point and went into a mental hospital. He called and threatened me. They were giving him quarters in the mental hospital. But at one point, I went to get what was called a peace warrant against him. What's that called here? A restraining order. So they sent me to the constable. This is Mississippi. He's wearing boots and a shark skin suit with a vest. And he was the justice of the peace. He had a constable who was the enforcement officer who had a record of brutality. He suggested to the justice of the peace that we take this guy who was in the mental hospital and harassing me, threatening to kill me, that we get him out of the hospital, put him on his hands and knees, and kick him in the butt all the way the 20 miles from Madison County all the way into Hinds County, which sounded like brutality to me. So I said to the justice of the peace, isn't that against the law? And he looked at me and he said, son, I am the law. And in Mississippi, that's the case. So here I am the law.
I thought you were going to talk about whether or not you would have videoed or taken
Right.
photographs as it was.
I do intermarriages, but no intermarriages in the synagogue at all. Ufruf or Aufruf, blessing before marriage. We don't tend to do them on Saturday morning because our Saturday morning services are generally more private for bar and bat mitzvah kids. But we do have it usually on a Friday night. And I don't do it on family night because it takes too long. We've got to get those kids to bed. But on other Friday nights, we will call you up and bless you, give your sweet chariot setting raisins, and say a few words to you. So, but we don't do it for intermarrying couples. On the other hand, I do lots of intermarriages, but not here. So most of my weddings, I may have one or two weddings in the temple a year. That's it. The rest are out somewhere else. Because a lot of people want a hotel where they're going to be eating, or they want to be out at the beach. You know, all of that happens. For me to do an intermarriage, however, I have certain requirements. Number one, the bride and groom cannot have pre-decided that they're going to bring their children up in a religion other than Judaism. They don't have to promise that they're going to bring them up as Jews. But if they've already made the pre-decision that they're going to be something else, it's not appropriate for me. I don't co-officiate with a officiant of a different religion because I, as a rabbi, my mission is to create a Jewish family and a Jewish moment in the wedding. And my view is I'm not there at that wedding to keep the non-Jewish side of the family happy. Nor do I feel that it's right for the Jewish family to say to the non-Jewish officiant, kind of give up who you are. Don't talk about Jesus. Don't do this, don't do that. I just don't think that's fair. And I think that you need to give messages to your in-laws right starting at your wedding. And if you're going to have a generally Jewish home, which is not cut off from the non-Jewish family, but if you're going to have a generally Jewish home, you need to give that message loudly and clearly at your wedding. If in-laws and everybody else are given the opening to run these aspects of your life, I think you open the door to a lot of problems. And if you give mixed messages out there, nobody is going to be able to operate in that, the least of which are your children. I have too many intermarriages where the decision is made to let the children decide what religion they want to be. It's not fair for parents to take a decision they can't make and put it on their children. And these are two parents where neither could be half Jewish and, let's say, half Christian. But they somehow want their kids to be what they can't be. And I'm really adamant about that. If you don't want to choose Judaism, that's fine. Choose a different religion. But don't try to bring them up in both at the same time. My services are generally a Jewish service. They have both Hebrew and English in them. So don't ask me to leave the Hebrew out. And the last part is I don't tend to go out of town to do intermarriages. That doesn't mean I never do it, but I don't tend. Well, the most important part is you have to be a member of the temple. The Jewish partner has to be a member of the temple, or the child of a member of the temple. I have no interest in being what they call a marrying Sam that goes and does intermarriages for all the other rabbis who don't want to do them. I want to serve my congregants.
What about same-sex marriage?
I would do them, haven't been asked to do them.
Are there any Jewish laws with respect to that?
Yeah, intermarriage is not considered a Jewish marriage. So I'm not even, so it's not accepted in Judaism in general. And our rabbinic association, the Central Conference of American Rabbis, opposes it. I would say today, though, correct me, I'd say at least a third to more of the Reform rabbis today do intermarriages. Rabbi Simon doesn't. That's his particular decision, and I can respect that position. I do. You have this all throughout the Reform rabbinate. Other questions? All right. They're all yours. If you are converting, give me a call, please, during the week, just so we can look at everything. Does anyone have homework? And your names are on them, right? Okay.
All right. So my challenge tonight is really taking two, not unrelated things, but two things that aren't really related. So we're gonna do our best, and I know we're running a little late. I will try to get you out by 8:30. If anyone has to leave at 8:30, you'll go when you have to go, and I will do what I can do. But since one of my tasks with you all is home ritual, and a lot of home ritual we've already done, right? Because we talked about candles and kiddush and a special meal at the beginning of festivals, and we talked about Havdalah at the end of festivals, right? Just like for Shabbat. But it just so turns out, that's not right. Is that right? You're with me anyway? All right. Turns out, or it just so happens, that's what I was trying to mix together, but we got it. Anyone know what tonight is? So we were celebrating what? Sukkot, right? Which we've talked about. That's the Lulav, the Dietrim, and Sukkot. Now, usually, if we have a one-day holiday, like Rosh Hashanah, or Yom Kippur, or Shavuot, which we haven't talked about, what do we call that day? A Yom Tov. Good. If we have a